Very old. I don't think that any of us can possibly appreciate how old we are. There are some who move closer to it than others, whose psyche is so organized or so refined and sensitive that they can feel antiquity within them. Through some mysterious way, they know where they have come from, and they feel the deep, deep past moving within them. They know that they were not created only at their birth, that they come trailing clouds from vast antiquity. And this deep, deep past is working in and through them. History is not what was, it is what is. History may be what we know of what has been and is, but we know so very, very little. And it should be preeminently clear that simply because you do not know your past does not mean that it is not working in you. It is working in you whether you know it or not. The past is influencing the present is a simple expression which anyone must be able to accept. But how deeply does it influence us? And even when you are not aware, it is moving, moving, moving. We are not even sure now of the origins of World War II. History is such a dim kind of wisdom and knowledge. Various persons go back and put pieces and bits together, and they make a mosaic out of it, and they say, that's history. That's the way they saw history as they constructed it from the little bits and pieces that they saw and chose and could manage. World War II, World War I is still being rewritten in this scientific age. We really don't know very much about it, and yet it's in a lifetime of many of us here this morning. What then about the history of Greece and Rome and Egypt and the Mesopotamia? What about the Tigris and Euphrates, and how important are they to us? They formed us. They created us. They're part of us. And we know so very, very little about them. We, in our great wisdom and knowledge, don't even know World War I, and we would presume to know what Greece has done to us and what's come to us from Egypt. Or to put it in another way, our history is 5,000 years old. That's such a long time. 2,000 years in our era, that stretches so far back. And then take another 3,000 and you've got the limits of our history. What a long time. Why, it isn't more than a drop of water in a large lake. Use the old hackneyed expression, not more than a grain of sand on a big beach. 5,000 years. Cro-Magnon man was 35,000 years ago. Can you begin to let your imagination run that far? He was like us. He's the same species, same kind of brain, No changes to speak of in our bodies and brains for 35,000 years anyway. How can you go that far back? Well, then try going back 400,000 years. 400,000 to Heidelberg man. What one of my friends calls brain cannibals. They would put a hole in the brain, in the head, and suck out the brains of their brothers and sisters. That's us, you know. You don't have that happen in your past without it being part of your present. 400,000 years of history, not history, of life in the world of which we know almost nothing. That enough? Then let's take the discoveries of Leakey in Africa. And now they used to put it at 1,000,000 years, and now they've got it pushed back to 2,000,000 years and better. Us, we, developing, it's part of us. That far enough? Oh, it's just the beginning. Take 100 million years, 200 million years for the life that began to be us. It's part of us. We're not separated from it any more than we're separated from the beings that create us when we're born, or from the life that went on in her life and through her parents. That's all part of us. 200, 300 million years. It is important that we feel it some degree. I said I was tender about my capacity to make it clear. Let me read you a paragraph or two from one of those poetic, intuitive, understanding geniuses who could feel it and had the wit and the ability to say it. Thomas Mann. Very deep is the well of the past. Should we not call it bottomless? For the deeper we sound, the further down into the lower world of the past we probe and press, the more do we find that the earliest foundations of humanity, its history and culture, reveal themselves unfathomable. No matter to what hazardous lengths we let out our line, they still withdraw again and further into the depths. He goes on to add that nationally and personally, you may come to a stopping point at which you find assurance and comfort